You're about to see the scariest level of power you've ever seen, and it doesn't shout, it doesn't fight, it doesn't even care if you understand it, because you've felt it before, that eerie silence when a man who could destroy you and chooses not to. That's not mercy, that's control. This is the point where power stops looking human. You can sense it before you see it. The air shifts, the tone of a room changes, and the instincts of lesser men begin to tremble. You don't know why, but your body knows it's in the presence of something that cannot be influenced. It's not loud, it's not theatrical, it's simply still. And in that stillness, every man's mask begins to crack. At the lower levels, power is noisy, full of assertion, performance, defense. It needs to be seen to exist. But when a man reaches the summit of control, he disappears. He has nothing left to prove, no urge to convince, no appetite for reaction. His silence becomes a mirror that reveals everyone else's desperation. You can see this in the world's great figures. The ruler who wins wars without lifting a sword, the strategist who lets his rival burn in his own rage, the calm presence that commands obedience without a single word. The powerful don't intimidate through display, they dissolve the game itself. They do not fight chaos, they design it. The frightening truth is that emotion is the first form of servitude. Every time you react, you announce that someone else has power over you. The moment you stop reacting, the world begins to orbit your calm. Because people fear what they cannot read. Anger can be understood, even manipulated. But silence cannot be negotiated with. That's why true power feels unnatural, almost inhuman, because it's not powered by emotion, it's powered by precision. The man who no longer needs validation moves like a shadow across a burning city. While others scream, he observes. While others defend, he disappears. And when he moves again, the landscape has changed. When you no longer chase control, you become it. The ego dies first. The need to be right, seen, loved, feared. Once that shell is gone, nothing can be used against you. No insult, no threat, no loss. You operate outside the reach of ordinary warfare. You are beyond humiliation because you no longer participate in the performance of pride. A man becomes untouchable the moment he no longer needs to be seen. The powerful man doesn't fight to maintain his image. He erases the need for an image. He learns that recognition is a trap, that the more the world looks at him, the less control he actually has. So he retreats, but not in weakness. He retreats like a god withdrawing his light. The disappearance itself becomes command. And in that absence, others begin to build myths. They fill the silence with stories, fear, reverence. They speak your name even when you do nothing. That's how rulers are born, not through aggression, but through absence. The less you give, the more they imagine. The less you react, the more they obey. It is a terrifying evolution from man to myth, from noise to shadow. You start realizing that every loud gesture, every emotional defense, every attempt to prove yourself is just the fear of being forgotten. But the man who can vanish without fear, that man owns time itself. Watch a calm man in a room of anxious ones. Watch how the loudest begin to shrink, how laughter turns brittle, how authority falters under quiet eyes. It's not charisma, it's command through detachment. When you master stillness, others start performing around you, revealing themselves in panic while you remain unmoved. That's the dread people feel when faced with real power. It's not the threat of violence, it's the threat of being irrelevant. Because in front of a man who doesn't need to react, your entire existence becomes optional. The scariest power is not the one that strikes, it's the one that waits. It's the silence before consequence, the calm before realization, the pause that makes every man question his own position. Restraint is not weakness, it's the ability to end everything and choosing not to. The ruler who can destroy his enemies but lets them live under his design controls them more completely than if he had executed them. The rival who walks away from insult leaves his enemy imprisoned by his own insecurity. The strategist who disappears after defeat becomes an idea, and ideas cannot be killed. Power reaches its purest form when it loses the need for confirmation. You stop asking the world to acknowledge your strength because acknowledgement is for the weak. The powerful man creates without needing witnesses. He shapes reality in silence, and the world rearranges itself around him. That's why the final stage of power looks cold, almost lifeless. It's not rage that drives it anymore. it's understanding. The mind becomes still because it sees too far, too clearly. Emotion is noise, and he has outgrown noise. So when you meet a man who doesn't flinch, who doesn't explain, who doesn't react, understand what you're seeing. You're not looking at peace, you're looking at evolution. Because the calmest man in the room isn't detached from power. He is power, distilled to its most terrifying form, invisible, emotionless, and absolute. When you meet a man who looks emotionless, don't mistake it for peace. You've just met evolution. This is what happens when power no longer needs recognition. It becomes divine. At first, power is physical. It lives in the body, in wealth, reputation, influence. Then it becomes mental, strategy, foresight, manipulation. But there is a final form that terrifies both the wise and the strong, when power dissolves into stillness, when it no longer moves through effort, but through inevitability. This is the God of stillness, a force that doesn't compete, doesn't persuade, doesn't explain. It moves the way gravity does, unseen, constant, absolute. Those who stand near it feel the pull without understanding the source. You can't fight it because it isn't fighting you. You can only orbit it or be erased by it. When a man reaches this level, he no longer needs to control outcomes. He becomes the outcome. His detachment bends the natural order because it's free from every weakness that governs ordinary men: fear, anger, validation, desire. He doesn't chase control because he no longer believes in losing it. The scariest thing about such power is its calm. While others demand attention to prove they exist, he is content to disappear, because only what is insecure must be seen. The divine operates in silence. The God doesn't announce himself, he simply exists, and existence itself obeys. You've seen traces of this in history. The emperor who no longer attends councils, yet every decision mirrors his intent. The strategist who vanishes before the war begins, yet every move unfolds according to his design. The monk who never speaks, yet whose presence unsettles kings. That's what divinity feels like, unforced order. Invisibility is the final weapon of control, because the moment people cannot define you, they cannot predict you, and what cannot be predicted cannot be opposed. The invisible man rules not through appearance, but through influence. He governs from absence. That's what the ancients meant when they said, "The greatest ruler is the one whose subjects do not know his face." It's not poetry, it's mathematics. Visibility invites opposition. Mystery enforces obedience. You can fight a king, you cannot fight a presence that cannot be located. When power hides, fear takes its place. Because people are not afraid of punishment, they are afraid of uncertainty. And a man who acts without emotion becomes an equation no one can solve. You may hate him, but you cannot reach him. You may try to provoke him, but his silence makes you destroy yourself instead. You see, this level of control operates through inversion. Every attack against him returns to the attacker. Every insult becomes confession. Every plot collapses under its own ambition. Because the God of stillness doesn't react, he reflects. The world plays itself out against his calm. That's why the most powerful men appear detached from everything, from love, from rivalry, from morality. It's not that they feel nothing, it's that they've mastered what others cannot survive, the death of attachment. To rule yourself so completely that even emotion obeys, that is the threshold of the divine. The irony is that detachment doesn't make him less human, it makes him inevitable, because everything emotional becomes predictable, and everything predictable can be controlled. The divine level of power removes emotion, not out of apathy, but out of efficiency. It's control stripped of drama, precision without story. He's no longer chasing revenge, because revenge is a form of dependence. He's not chasing recognition, because praise is a form of imprisonment. He's not even chasing victory, because victory implies resistance. At this level, resistance doesn't exist. He moves once, and the universe corrects itself. And when he does move, it feels supernatural. Because his timing is beyond calculation. He doesn't act to dominate. He acts because the moment demands it. It's the difference between the storm and the wind. The storm tries to destroy. The wind simply moves, and everything bends. His stillness is not weakness. It's stored violence disguised as peace. The more silent he becomes, the more inevitable his impact. Because when he finally moves, it's not reaction, its design. Every gesture, every word, every pause carries the weight of decision. And the world trembles not because it fears him, but because it depends on him. This is the highest paradox of power. The man who no longer wants it becomes the one who cannot lose it. When he stops trying to control life, life begins to organize itself around his will. Not because of domination, but because he has aligned with inevitability. The universe bows to stillness. It always has. Water flows around the unmoving rock. The tides obey the silent moon. Even chaos follows laws it cannot perceive. The man who mirrors that silence doesn't need to command obedience. His existence becomes instruction. You can sense him when he walks into a room, not because he announces himself, but because everything unconsciously adjusts to his presence. The pace slows, voices lower, the air grows heavier. Everyone begins to measure themselves by his calm. That's not charisma, that's gravity. And gravity never boasts of being heavy. It simply is. That's the scariest level of power. Not because it dominates, but because it transcends. You can't study it, fight it, or predict it. You can only submit to it. It doesn't care to win, because nothing can defeat what does not compete. When power learns silence, fear becomes worship.